Okay, what's up with this Education Act? Time for one more order of business. It was so rude. We get it. I don't like her. Councilor O's proposed amendment of the Education Act. The text of it can be found in the third appendix of the session's agenda. Councilor O, take the floor. No remarks. General housekeeping shit for the university. Great, I'm going to abstain voting and decline to pay any more attention to this session, if that's okay with you. Councilor. Doesn't affect security. I vote don't care. Does the council object to bringing it to a vote? None here. I object. I don't understand the purpose of the proposed change about language rules. Is that really necessary? You explain that. It's just some minor changes to general requirements. Even engineers have general requirements. That's why they're called general. I don't think we need the vocabulary lesson, Counselor. Yes, I know, out of line. Withdrawn. It doesn't sound like minor changes. Wait, Queen Eun-a. She was an official. Oh. This is all requested and drafted by Mugunghwa University President O. Eun-a. She assures me that it was just a minor change to allow for students to get a more rounded education. What exactly is more rounded about forcing engineers into pointless general classes? Everyone already takes general classes. It's not... Okay, pardon me, if I may. Certainly. I'm going to yield the floor to Councilor Lee. Culture. Ambitious. As I understand it, the change is to allow general programs to include texts written in Chinese characters. Is that right? That's what I'm told. Meaning technical students will have to go out of their way to learn pointless nonsense that doesn't have anything to do with science. Chinese characters aren't taught in public schools. That's right. The other counselors see where this is going. Yes. Does it really need to be spelled out why it would be a good thing to make the educational requirements for noble professions less accessible to any old peasant at a public school? In case you haven't noticed, we have a serious problem with overeducated peasants already. They agitate for democracy and give me a headache. Making things harder for them seems like preserving the status quo to me. Whew. Damn. So Councilor O of Education, just housekeeping regardless, is trying to basically dumb down what they have called the peasant class, very clearly separating them from the nobility by making things harder. They're going to make entrance exams harder so that nobility can get in, and it will further dumb down the peasant classes, allowing them not to get further education or into education that leads to these more provocative jobs, things that are of higher standing. Exciting and scary. Bold moves. If you move to vote, I'll second it. If you have a motion to vote, I move to vote then. But they're just all very candid about this, and that's the most disturbing part. Seems like everyone's in favor. And Mute, it doesn't have anything to do with her. She's security, so anything that lets things pass through that'll make the peasant class less revolt-prone will bring her favor. Scary, scary, scary. 7 in favor, 1 abstention. Amendment passes, and we'll go to the president for signing. Damn. So I don't know who Kim So-yi is. Today was pretty exhausting at work. We're still doing cleanup from a fire on Monday. And also meant in order to catch up on all of my project work, I had to do 2 hours of overtime afterwards. Not my idea of fun. Okay. So we don't know who this is yet. So at least she respects family gatherings. Even my grandfather, Councilor of Engineering himself, was there. Shockingly, I wanted to just go lie down and hole up in my room, but given how rare an event is, social obligations interfered. Why would a Kim woman need to have a job? After thanking grandfather for getting me that job once more, which he seemed nonplussed on, the subject of my grandmother instantly dominated the conversation by asking me if I'd found a man yet. So this is Grandma Kim. I'd love to, but work keeps getting in the way. She apparently didn't buy it. Why not? Isn't engineering a male-dominated field? There's a few exceptions, like my boss, the gross one who forces me to clean up ashes instead of doing important work. Ugh. So she's having trouble in her field finding men that are not gross. It's not like I don't want to find someone. I'd sure like to move out of my parents' house and have someone for companionship and eventually have kids when my career gives me time for it. The only reason why I haven't gotten to 22 years old without ever having a boyfriend is because I'm hopeless with men in front of the entire main branch of the family. Or even in front of anyone. I feel pretty embarrassed, even writing this in my diary, where nobody but me is going to read it. Oh, Mute's all hassling her for being married at 22. So, I figure the part that Mute is also relaying is that it is going to be very socially awkward for Kim So-yi to be unmarried at 22. Even as a scientist, even in her field, a very professional field. So I think I was supposed to be offended when she asked, what if I found someone for you? Grandmother knows best, so grandmother sounds like a good woman, even if it's late. We have someone in mind. The bottom line is that it seems Mute's very happy with whatever I'm about to read. I now have a marriage interview with Mr. Pion at some point next month. Apparently he's very sweet. Oh, he's a cutie. And a chef, apparently. Works as a cook for a living. Those all sound like good things to me, although I worry about what sort of man would resort to matchmaking. Not want to talk. I think it's going to be very weird. Grandmother knows best. So what's the records office have to say? Proposed Motherhood Credit Act. I think I know where this is gonna go. Try to keep this one concise. Since I know you've all read this one already, we're approaching a serious demographic problem right now. Birth rates ship-wide have been declining for years. Plan is to provide an economic incentive for families to raise children. So what sort of numbers are you proposing? I feel like I'm being buried underneath a giant pile of data. How much is this credit for? It's just thorough. Smith wouldn't have allowed an item to be introduced with 4 appendices. They've been available beforehand for months. None of these people have read them. Complex breakdown. With a number of factors, the bottom line, though, is that it will average to 20,000 silver for noble families per year, 5,000 silver for peasant families per year. Those are big numbers. I don't object on principle, but I would like an assurance that this isn't going to impact my department's budget. It's already stretched thin. Everybody's stretched thin. Projection makes it seem like it's going to have a significant cost attached to it. Like, I'm not opposed either. I get the benefits. It's just, stability I worry about. I'm worried about inflation, I'd assume. Right. There's no question this will be costly. We're looking for long-term results, but certainly this is not a project that can be sustained in the long term. If you look at Appendix 14, you'll see that the project cost for the next 10 years will require a 15% tax increase. That's a lot. However, the projection also shows that with the estimated population increase, and this is being conservative, don't worry, we'll see an even payout after about 22 years, then a significant increase. Alright, University of Economics explains it thoroughly. Basically, when the population goes up, it means the workforce increases, which means there will be more people to do more jobs. So there's an increase in tax revenue overall, but a decrease in government labor costs, which is always a pain in the ass, pretty much. Makes sense to me! So, here's my problem. Mute's gonna come all in up on this, because it involves some numbers that she's not finding fair. If you increase taxes on the lower class by 15%, there will be riots. Like, my office will be on fire within a week. And it turns out that the costs even more of the money that's already tight to put out. We're talking actual straight-out riots. It's a security problem. I get what the benefit would be. It just doesn't offset the cost of, offices on fire. Fair enough. Really gonna exercise the security veto on this? If I may, a possible solution might be to offload the tax increase onto the noble classes. It's a terrible idea. Just to hell with the whole thing, I say. No, it's a good idea. Peasants off having children is something I'm all for. Peasants raising happy families do not set fire to anything. To be perfectly clear, I am very much in favor of the not setting fire to things option, okay? Mute might be dramatizing a little. Don't sound so certain. Captaincy all up in here. Okay, we need to find some sort of consolation for the refusal to carry out President Park's insane school credit idea. This just addresses a serious social issue as well as undercuts Park. If it's not this, it'll have to be something else. I don't care. I'm not voting for any act that'll require a tax increase, let alone one supported by noble families alone. Oh, this is going nowhere fast. Smith? Sure, something could be changed to address the councilor's concerns, right? Oh, we could probably just take the funding from the surplus. It'll all balance out in the end anyway. I didn't think to submit any numbers on that, though. Oh dear, that's not going to go well. No taxes were levied on either the peasantry or noble class. Would anyone object? Cool by me. No fires on things. Okay, looks like it went through in the end. So, provide a new report on the feasibility of surplus financing for the Motherhood Credit Act. Item is tabled until then, moving on. Okay. So, we've also got our first one from the records office. There's going to be a couple more like these where it's just going to be the records people's talking to each other about important political decisions, things happening at the government level. Okay, Chief Councilor. Successor for Councilor Smith. So yeah, this was planned. This was in the works between Mute and Smith themselves. Smith and Chul will be taking it. I trust there are no objections to this. Chul is the elder son. I'd like to nominate the Councilor of Captaincy for the position. So Mute's going to come in. Here's Mr. Captaincy. Going to do some real work. Seconding the lovely Councilor of Security's nomination for Ryu. Yang's all in on it. The risk of being gauche. Seconding my nomination. Are there any others? Nope. Kim is nominating themselves. Is there a second for Councilor Kim? Well, that's kind of an awkward silence. Really? Councilor Milquetoast can get himself seconded, but not someone who actually runs something important? Councilor Milquetoast? Okay, you're not going to call out that as out of order, seriously? Yes, it's out of order. The record indicate that the Chief Councilor's remarks were prefixed by an overly dramatic sigh. So they're all bickering about it, but it's going to go through. I want to know what could possibly motivate anyone to nominate that man for the single highest position on the ship. Admittedly a curious decision. Obviously, I'm not completely unbiased here, but I don't think he has a track record to support such a position. We've actually... Mute, if you would. Alright, Mute. Hit him up. I'll be blunt right now. The most important thing to be the continued stability of this ship isn't how we deal with President Park and this idiotic democracy movement, right? I mean, everyone agrees with that, yeah. Therefore, our job is to undermine his actions at every turn, right? Again, nobody's arguing with that, are they? So, simple. We don't want to look like the president is our enemy. If we strongly oppose him, we only make the movement stronger. Councilor Lee, tell me, what's your proposed new direction for the council? I don't propose a new direction. I don't believe in compromising to hooligans. We need to draw a line that firmly lets the peasantry know that the High Council of Mugongwa won't yield to their arrogance. More importantly, one that assures the noble families that actually run the ship that we won't hang them out to dry. Okay, Mute doesn't disagree with the principle. I don't like compromise either. Councilor Ryu, I'll hand this over to you. It's simple. We don't compromise. There's no new direction. It's the same direction as always. We protect the best interests of the ship and maintain the social order that's worked for centuries. Inside this room, nothing changes. Then what's the Mute going on about? Inside this room, nothing changes. Outside, we're the face of reform. We're the best friend of the average man who got so excited to elect President Park. President Park will propose whatever nonsense he'll propose, and we'll say, yes, of course, we'll do that with some changes, but we're just as interested in reform as you. But inside this room, nothing changes. And that's how it's done, boys and girls. Efficient and subtle. Efficient and subtle. That's why Councilor Ryu is perfect. He doesn't have an established track record. We put him as chief counselor, and he says he believes in reform. We're not going to be able to argue with that. So, things are stable. We have poisoned the carrot. Whatever, that's some kind of metaphor, but you see my point, Counselor. Anyone else? Strongly, it's why I'm stepping down. High Council needs a new face, a real new face, not as simply the same old establishment figures the peasantry already hates. So, now everyone is on the same page with how they're going to deal with this President Park guy without having fires set in buildings and having riots hit the streets. Still very manipulative, not very nice, not very clear, and definitely regarding this very distinct class issue as being very destructive for the peasantry and very uplifting for the nobility. Why? I'm not sure. Don't really know, but yeah, that's the new chief counselor. So everything is now settled in that spot. So, our scientist friend Kim So-yi, what is this research problem?